And to make sure the older people here have been doing a while, I'll go a little deeper into breathing here. But basically, there's 2 ways you can breathe for us. And I know breathing's a big thing now, and what kills me is most people teach it wrong from our standpoint. You know, my way I look at it is I actually get results. Like we call it SEL in Illinois, social emotional learning. I'm sure you do out here too. How many people have SEL stuff? And we have these really amped up ladies who think that they can do this because they take yoga class, that they can teach us all how to breathe, and they're just all amped up too. I'm like, wait a minute. You're doing the breathing and you're still amped up. It must not be working because you're still amped. No, but it really works. It's like they want to make you do it. So how do you belly breathe? Belly breathe puts you in a performance state. Chest breathing puts you in what we call fight or flight or freeze. Why is that? Well, from one point of view, you chest breathe, you get no oxygen. Your body thinks it's dying because there's no oxygen coming in. You're moving, you're going through the process, but nothing's coming in. Belly breath actually sucks it in and you get oxygen in the bottom part of your lungs where most of the stuff is that's pulling the oxygen out to send it through your bloodstream. Why does that calm you down? Because you're not dying now. Quite simply. Because remember, that's the goal, is to not die, not break your neck. You know, you take care of those 2 things, everything's going to be pretty good after that. So how do you do belly breath? Well, let's get a before and after. So what I want everyone to do, this is your pre-test. Okay? You're going to stand up. No, it was late. We stayed up late last night because the game got out and took up all the bar spots and all that. We're going to get up, and I want you to do a pre-test. So whatever your flexibility thing is. So bend down, touch your toes. You know, the CrossFit people always do some kind of lunge, snatch, twist type thing to see where they're at. And like, what is that? My brother just goes like this. Yeah, I'm good. Ooh, what's liquid death?
It's just cool water. It's water.
Does it have like the same kick as Red Bull?
No caffeine.
Oh.
Sparkling water. Can water.
Yeah. But look how cool it is.
It does. It's marketing. I was thinking that was a double Red Bull. That would be good. So everyone's got a marker, right? Everyone knows where they're at. Yes? Flexibility is always a thing, right? You guys can sit because we're going to breathe now. I mean, back in the day, you used to think flexibility was tied to athletic performance, right? But really, flexibility is just a state of what your neural system is. So if your body doesn't think it can function properly, is it going to give that muscle length? No, it's going to say, no, I'm shutting down, shorten everything up, we're conserving. But when you feel things that kick in and things are working the way they're supposed to, you suddenly get all this muscle length. So all the stretching you're doing, if your athlete is not in that mental state, you're not improving anything. In fact, you're probably making things worse because you're actually pulling on tendons and ligaments and not stretching the actual muscle. So how are we going to get there? Well, we're going to belly breathe, okay? So we're going to start with this. I want you to put your hand on your belly. I want you to take a big breath in. If I see your shoulders moving up like this, I know you're breathing with your chest and not your stomach. So what you're going to do is you're going to make yourself fat. So when you breathe in through your nose, you're going to see how round you can get here. And you can blow out through your nose or your mouth. It really doesn't matter. Nose is better, but I like mouth so you can hear it. You can do about 10. Like how I can make my hands sound like a dolphin.
So weird. That's so fun.
I want you to take your thumb, make it like a paint scraper. You're going to start your sternum and you're going to scrub down your sternum. So why are we doing this? This is to break up the fascia that comes through your chest. Everyone likes to lift upper body. Everyone likes to bench press, do push-ups. You know, Tony does 100. Found out today he can't do 100 in a row. He breaks it up into like 5s over a 2-hour period of time. I can do 100 then. When you get to the bottom, you're going to make your fingers like hooks. You are going to grab the bottom of your rib cage, not under your rib cage, but just along the bottom, and you're going to drag it down and back. You may find some really tender spots in there. The tender spots is where fascia has anchored into your thoracic area of your body. Come back up, scrub back up through the top. And then do 3 more belly breaths. And just by changing our breathing, get up and try your test again. See how much it improved. Holy shit is right.
There's a Soas that the Japanese body scan.
Different? Why? Well, your body's relaxed. It took a breath. It's got oxygen going. The body says, all good. Give the muscle length. What's the first thing? Any trainers here? All right, good. I can go off on them. What's the first thing they do to you after you pull your hamstring? Let's stretch it and see what's going on. Of course it's not going to be very flexible. You just wrecked it. It's just been wrecked. It's not going to give length. Your body's like, oh crap, one of my major movers is out. Rewire, rewire. So if you are in living life, sometimes you can put your body in other positions where your body will say, I don't like that much. So does my breathing, does my recruitment pattern for breathing change if I turn my head to the left? It does. It's a different fascial system. If I go to the right, it does. What if I twist to the left? It does. I twist to the right. It does. How about if I bend over and twist? It does. So you start getting in all these different planes of motion. It changes how you breathe. I mean, if I go this way, I've just shut off part of my lung, and this lung is going to fill more. So when I take a big, deep belly breath, I can feel that whole side open up. So when I get that one side to open up more, what's going to happen to all the intercostal muscles and things like that inside, or even my spine? It's going to kind of push things back into place. When we play sport, really your elite athletes are ones who can take their torso off their hips. Right? Like I'm running a fly route and I look back for the ball and I haven't lost any speed when I rotate. You know, most of sport is something like this. But what do we train in all the time? Just here. So you wonder why people get hurt when you start moving because, you know, just from a breathing standpoint, can I do a good breath from here? I can. You'll find out you go to one side, it's shortened up quite a bit, and I can't breathe very well from here. So what's the first thing your brain protects after your neck? Your spine. Remember, you're thinking about, how can I still get away with a grizzly bear? Right? The body's going to give up whatever allows to protect the main parts to live. Like I blow my ankle before I blow my knee. I'll blow my knee before I blow my hip. You trip your friend or run next to grandma. You know you can always outrun grandma. And here in the Golden Bear State, I guess there's no more grizzly bears here though, but so you can put your athletes in different positions. So if you know they're a pitcher, you know, have them spin here and take some belly breaths. Or just general movements over to the side. You know, you can put yourself in all these different positions. What if I move my eyes? Do my recruitment patterns change if I look hard to my left, hard to my right? They do. Because if I'm looking hard to the right, my body's getting ready to take a right-hand turn. It's preparing me for that. So the body says, right-hand turn, change recruitment, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. The movement stuff, all that comes into play. So what does this look like in my practice? Well, when we start practice, because kids are amped 24/7, except for the 5 minutes we do this, we start every practice with 5 minutes of belly breathing. So I have 150 kids on their back. I coach at a high school that's got phenomenal facilities. We have an indoor football facility. We have a 200-meter indoor track. We have all that stuff. You see 150 kids laying on their back. Nobody can talk, and they're just breathing for 5 minutes.
Can I ask why on their back?
Why? I want to calm them down. And plus, they can't look at each other and make faces and screw around. But we've been doing it a while now, and the older kids buy into it so much that the younger kids, they don't want to screw around because they don't see the older kids doing it. Before we run a 4x1, we get in a group and we belly breathe together.
You found 5 works for the team in the team setting?
It's just easy. I can look up at the clock and see that and go, okay, ballpark, go. I really don't know the exact number. It's just 5. So where do we go from there? Well, we're going to start at the very beginning. You have to go into hip flexion before you go into hip extension. So I know the psoas muscle is in the middle of your body. I think that's been proven, right? So I can't actually touch it. I can touch the origin. The insertion's hard to get to too, which is level 3 stuff where we're going to start playing with origins of muscles and manipulating it through that. So if you put your finger in your belly button, you go over your fat bump, and then down about 2 inches. That's going to be about the place where you rubbed when you were a baby and you picked up your head and you started rocking back and forth. You're rubbing right on top of that spot. So it may be different for some people. Everyone started crawling and walking at different times. Torso lengths are different. So you're going to kind of move around in there and find that really tender spot. Usually those tender spots are places that they're protecting because the muscle doesn't work. And the longer I've been doing this and resetting people, the more you're finding out that, yeah, your body protects those spots where muscles don't work. So you can go ahead, and I kind of push in and push up my fat. Or you can push directly in. You can use a Theragun and push on those spots. I even use a laser light to do it. Laser works the best. Your body responds to light before it responds to touch, correct? And I go like this, my body responds to the fact that it suddenly went dark. So, let's all stand up and get on that spot. It's easier to get when you're standing up. Rub in there for about 15 seconds. Then take 2 big belly breaths and go down and see how far you go now. Better? Like the Beatles song, getting better all the time. It's a good one. Yeah? What album? Huh? You don't know? Not White Album. Revolver. No, you don't know your Beatle albums?
No, I'm 40.
That's no excuse. You're 40?
Yeah?
I didn't think you were that old. I'm older, so.
I don't know if that's a compliment.
Well, good you made it this far.
Thanks, man. RPR.
Your glute spot is the base of your skull. So why is that glute important? Because in a recruitment pattern, if your body can't find the glute, it goes to the hamstring. Why do you pull your hamstring? Because if the hamstring has to extend the hip and flex the knee at the same time, it's going to give up something along those lines when it's been asked to do too much. So it can't be a glute and a hamstring when things hit the fan. So the reset spot, again, is you're going to push along the base of your skull. It's almost like you're trying to separate the muscle from the bone. You go all the way across. Some people may be really tender in there. Again, if I had more room, I'd bring people up and do actual tests and things like that and fun, but I just realized it's 10 to 9 already.
I want to find you a volunteer right away, just like right there.
Oh, hell no.
He's a great case study right there.
You talk about the order you're going in? Like
Yes, so why is it the order? Well, we're just going to go through a recruitment pattern to move. So Soas is first. Hip extension is second, so I can actually flex and extend my hip. Then I need stability, which is going to be lateral chain, your glute med, which I'll talk about here in a second. Then to thrust, after I've got my strength to balance here, it's going to go to quad, then calf to extend. Lat will be to stabilize the spine. So I'm just going through how the whole movement pattern works when you walk. Shoulder stability to swing the arm. Shoulder mobility to help swing the arm. And then neck and torso to hold everything in place. So all I'm doing is we are going to reroute the system to work properly again. That's all we're doing. It's just gait. We want to make sure everything's on in gait. So we did glutes, right? I know we did. So moving on to lateral chain. Why is lateral chain so important? It's your glute med, your side butt. And what happens when you walk or run or crawl or anything, this is what stabilizes your leg in place. What does stabilize mean? It means that my foot is, the heel of my right leg is underneath my right ear. If that drifts medially or in, all of a sudden, that foot's on the wrong side of my body. Which means when I run, I may look like this, where my heel is on the wrong side of my body. We call that a crossover gait. Can I run fast? In order to get that foot in the other side of my body, my heel is going to hit first in front of my center of mass. Now, I completely understand that your foot has to hit in front of your center of mass in order to go fast. I get it. Yep, I know that. But if it's on the wrong side of my body, is that good? Think about this. Neurologically, when your body feels that heel hit the ground, your body instantly thinks, I'm walking. So when you have heel strikers or people who cross over and that back heel hits first, you are in a fast walk. So in order to make sure that I'm in the right spot, I want to make sure that my glute med works. Likewise, how many people have athletes with IT band problems, or you have IT band problems yourself? So what happens is in that crossover, that glute med is in a position where it can't do much because it's completely stretched. So it dumps in and asks your outer quad to absorb the energy rather than your glute med, which eventually wears on your IT band. It's really your outer quad's toast. IT band is just irritated. Elite sprinters, when their feet come down, have about 2 inches distance. If one guy was on one leg and you magically descended that other foot, there's going to be about 2 inches in between, which means your elite sprinters, you're always going to see space in between their legs. So I always watch people either running at me or away from me. You know, I sit on a 1080. I can't tell you how many butts I've seen run away from me in the last 10, 12 years, however long I've had that thing. So this is where you need to be. How do you get there? Well, you got to have your glute med firing. Likes to come off. How many heads in your glute med? When in doubt, always go 3s in the human body. Always go 3s. How many deltoid heads? 3. So think about this. If at one time, this is controversial now, if at one time we were quadrupeds going way back in the day, you'd have to have even, right? Same thing here. You got 3 heads on your glute med. You got 3 heads. Here you've got 3 heads through your torso, your TVA, and your obliques. Everything's in 3s to hold in place. Magic number. That's why I always do reps of 3 or reps of 7. After that, you don't need anything. Those are the two numbers, right? Or 13 for some reason. I don't know. 13 freaks people out. So how do I get this lateral chain? So again, there's going to be this scenario when you are learning to get strength through here. Your rib cage is rubbing on top of your hip bone. When you start to stand up and you grab the side of the table. You haven't got development in your corset here to hold things in place, so the ribs rub on top of your hip. That gives you the idea that, okay, I can stand up and extend now and start looking over the top of the table. How many people remember the first time your child actually extended all the way up and they see the top of the table and their eyes light up? So they have that instant reward that they finally see what's on top of the table when they stand up. And that dopamine fires muscles, gets everything into play. So the spot is on top of your hip bone. All right, so again, you have three heads that come into play. You are just going to scrub. You're going to have to stand up for this one, guys. Again, if I had time, I would shove people around and show you how it's weak and all that stuff. But you're going to start at your ASIS, which is the front part of your hip bone, and you're going to push down into that hip bone all the way into the back. That feels good for me. Likewise, the next step up is going to be in between your rib and hip. So again, how do I know when to thrust? Well, I can actually get my leg past to push, and I'm going to have to bring this apart. So you are going to rub in between your ribs and your hips. So you go on top of the bone for lateral chain and in between for quads. Why do I want to do my quads? This is where your blown ACLs are. If you're asking the quad to be a hip flexor and a knee extensor at the same time, the body's always going to give up the knee before it gives up the hip. All right, let's take a break. Go back, give me 3 breaths, and bend down, touch as your body's starting to come to life here.
How much time is staying on each exercise?
Oh, 15, 20 seconds. We have an app that's coming out. It's been coming out for a long time. Any day now. Tech people are horrible. On the app, it's free. It'll take you through all of RPR. And it's got a timer on it. And so it tells you exactly how long to go for. We have this awesome model that shows you how to do it. It's actually Cal's girlfriend. But she was free. The bobsledder sprinter girl.